Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Salt Lake City Snowhawks expansion franchise here on Madden 25. We're entering Week 2 as we're here at Soldier Field taking on the Chicago Bears. Each of these squads 0-1 entering the matchup as we look for our first win of this year 4 season. It was a very tough go there in Week 1 as we fell to the New Orleans Saints by a score of 21-14. Our first pass attempt of the season went for a touchdown, but it went to the opposite team as the Saints kind of set the tone early on there, and they took that back for a pick six, and they didn't look back after holding that lead. So this week we look for redemption on the road against the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams still leading the charge here, and they have a very good duo of receivers with DJ Moore, Rome Odunze at 89 and 87 overall respectively. As we're now here at the opening kickoff, and we are now underway here in Week 2. I'm really hoping that we have a good result this time out. Our offense just really lacked any spark, any organization there in Week 1 as a nice tackle there off the kickoff. And we'll see former number 1 overall pick Caleb Williams out of USC as the Bears looking to get back to the playoffs. Very tough division there in the NFC North, but the Bears have held their own over the course of this franchise. Very efficient there in Week 1 with a pair of touchdowns as well. So in this episode, we're going to split between two different matchups. This week, we're going to just take a look at our defense, and then the next week, we're going to take a look at our offense as we're set for our division opener against the San Francisco 49ers. But before we look that far ahead, we got to take care of business here in Week 2 as DeAndre Swift, 15 for 55 last week, a touchdown, as he gets 4 or 5 there on his opening carry of the game. And he looks like he's limping a little bit. Doesn't appear to be too serious, though, as it's now 2nd and 6. And Joey Bosa, our top pass rusher, is out, suffered an injury in practice, as Andrew Van Ginkel there off the edge there to wrap up Swift. But there is a flag on the play, and it's a hold on the offense. That was Luke Fortner at center, as that's going to make it 2nd and 16. If I had to pick a weak part of the Chicago team, or at least the offense, definitely the offensive line, as a pass there towards the sideline is complete, which will bring up a 3rd and 10. Hopefully we can force an early punt here, kind of set the tone on the road, get the ball back. We see Van Ginkel and Kwity Paye as the stand-up pass rusher there off the edge, and we get the tackle there. Quay Walker shot out of a cannon, and he gets the big-time stop there, a 4-yard loss, and our defense certainly came to play at least early on as we get the big tackle for loss, force Chicago to punt on the opening drive here. We really couldn't afford for them to come out of the gate with a nice drive and get any momentum. Had to shut that down right away as we are getting the ball back. And also our punter, Matt Ariza, suffered a torn labrum in Week 1. He's going to miss 4 weeks, so we went ahead and we signed Chicago's practice squad punter. So hopefully he can provide some intel for us this week as Lucas McDonald, 2 interceptions there in Week 1. Not great. One went for a pick 6, but otherwise 24 for 34, just 194 passing, although he did add 82 rushing yards, which was 2nd among all players in Week 1. So we are just going to go ahead and quick sim our offense in this game. We start with a 7-yard rush from McDonald, 2nd and 3, incompletion. So a quick 3rd and short here out of the gate. And we do get the conversion there. Derrick Henry, 6 yards on his first carry. We really struggled to implement our running game in Week 1 between Henry, Bigsby, and McCaffrey. Bigsby got the bulk of the carries and wasn't really that efficient, as McDonald 8 yards there for Wicks. Maybe his first or second catch. He also didn't have much run there in Week 1. Another 7 yards on the ground for McDonald. Now 1st down in Chicago territory. We get another 6 from McDonald, so very heavy scramble so far. And then we get 19 to Wicks all the way down to the 14. So now in the red zone, a 1st down for the Snowhawks. And we get 13 yards down to the 1 for Marvin Harrison Jr. So let's punch this in and get the early lead as we do. Christian McCaffrey, his first carry finds pay dirt as our Snowhawks up early in this Week 2 matchup. Let's hope that we can carry it on as Chicago set to take over at the 30. And hopefully our defense can continue to do what they did on that opening drive, as the Bears now down a touchdown, 4:40 remaining in this first quarter. We also have Matthew Torrance playing in the slot a little bit, splitting reps there with Jaquan McMillan, as we're trying to get Dane Gilmore a little more involved back there at safety. One of our 2 first-round picks, he out of Tennessee, and that's 9 yards on the ground for DeAndre Swift. And pardon me if you hear my cat meowing here. She's trying to get some commentary in, but she's not quite ready to get on the mic full time, as now DeAndre Swift, another give. He will get the 1st down fighting, or I thought he would get the 1st down, at least on that forward progress, but too much backtracking there, and that'll set up a 3rd down now. I think at that point you just got to know when to take the first down. And now 3rd and 1 with the fullback out there. Swift again will get the first down. Captain Jerry Sexton in on that tackle. Last year's Defensive Rookie of the Year. 3rd round pick out of UW. As we're now less than 3 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Chicago nearing midfield, a fresh set of downs. Cole Kmet still the tight end for this team, as they will give back to Swift, a really heavy dose of DeAndre Swift, and he gets 5 that time. Now 2nd and 5, Williams directly under center. DJ Moore there, the man in motion, and they will fake it for Swift. Moore is underneath there, just sitting as Williams goes down the field, and that one was out of bounds, had a man, and again going to have a hold on the offense. And that was Tevin Jenkins this time, the left guard. As it's now 2nd and 15. Chicago not doing themselves any favors. Now this time trying to set up the screen for Swift, as he will get some steam up the sideline, and that's going to go for 12. Able to get a good chunk back, if not the majority. Now a 3rd and short again for Chicago. Williams going to move around there in the pocket, and he does find a man there. Swift had 2 guys right behind him, but does secure that catch, and that moves the chains. Good footwork and maneuverability back there by Caleb Williams, of course, one of his hallmarks. And again, for Swift, already, 10 carries or so in the first quarter. That one for 3. Now we hit the 1 minute mark in this first quarter. 2nd and 7, a long-winded drive so far for the Bears as they go to the sideline. That's going to be picked off, and that's going to go back all the way. The veteran Jalen Thompson to the 10, to the end zone, and we were picked off in week 1, and now we answer back with one of our own as our defensive captain, Jalen Thompson, the expansion pick from Arizona, who we inherited back in episode 1 in that expansion draft. You see Caleb Williams just going for the check down there. Caleb Williams, but he just telegraphed that one way too much. I mean, Jalen Thompson was seeking that out the whole way, totally baited that, and he finds pay dirt. So we fell down early in week 1, and now in week 2 we're up 14-0 as Joshua Carty puts that extra point through. And now 42 seconds remaining in this first quarter, as Chicago again will take over at the 30-yard line. We double our lead, and some good action early on for our Snowhawks, very encouraging, but there's still a lot of football left to play as Caleb Williams does answer back with a 6-yard gain there to Adunze. 2nd and 4 now, maybe the last play of this first quarter, as it is a fake for Swift. Caleb Williams goes deep down the field, and that'll be knocked down. That's Dale Gilmore, our rookie safety out of Tennessee. Didn't see him much in episode 1, but back there making a big play in coverage. Very good zone safety, as Caleb Williams there on 3rd and 4 does find Adunze, and he has a lot of room to run, as that one goes for 24. So a nice play to end this first quarter by Chicago as they do enter Salt Lake City territory, although they already have a lot of ground to make up, trailing 14-0 here on the road. But we got to be happy about our start, and hopefully we can keep it going. The Bears now at the 40-yard line as we flip the field. Starting here in the second quarter, his first pass attempt has a man there. I think that's Cole Kmet, as that goes for 11 and the first down. Now at the 29-yard line from the shotgun, and they do go back to Swift here. Some good blocking as Swift is able to evade a tackler, and he'll go all the way to the end zone as the Bears do find the end zone for the first time in this game, and they split this deficit in half, pending the extra point. DeAndre Swift, he figured he was going to find the end zone. Just 15 carries in week 1, but this week already matching that, and we're just early on here in the second quarter, just able to get away from everybody that time. We had some guys in tackle vicinity, but nothing doing as he finds the end zone. Now 14-7, and now our Snowhawks with the ball back, taking over at the 30. 2-yard rush from Carlos Alvarez, our first-round pick out of Florida State, and a 3rd and 8 here. Don't want to punt it to him. After getting a touchdown, a chance to tie it up, we need to keep this drive going. And we get a 68-yard touchdown pass for Carlos Alvarez, his first career touchdown. So we just had Gilmore, our first-round safety, make a play. Now we have our first-round receiver, Carlos Alvarez, 68 yards to the house. And I wish we could have watched that one live, but I'll take the result nonetheless. So just 2 minutes here into this second quarter, and it's already 21-7. As we'll go back to the defense here after giving up a touchdown their last time out. Let's see if they can hang strong this time. 141 total yards for Chicago to just 137 to Salt Lake City, but we do have the 2-score lead. Also, one was via the defense, though, as Swift another carry up the middle, that time for 6. I don't know why I thought Swift had so many more carries, just 8. That was his 8th, so I was a little off on that estimate. As now 2nd and 4, back to him, this time to the outside, and he's swallowed up there on the edge, just 2 yards, so another 3rd and short for Chicago as they have been able to execute in these situations. Very important situations for a football team. 3rd and short, paramount. As they do go back to Swift, and this time he's swallowed up there before the line to gain. Jerry Sexton, a teammate there, in on the stop. And I'm assuming they're going to punt here from their own zone. And we'll take another look here, as I couldn't really see who the other guy up the middle was. Then Caleb Patton there at D-tackle. And we see Coach John Gruden there, the nod of approval. As the good times right now. I feel like it's been forever since we've just come out and played some good football for 4 straight quarters. As on the punt return that time, nothing doing for Dak Kitchens. And we'll see if the offense can keep it going. We see McDonald, McCaffrey trotting back out onto the field. Just already 21 points here in the first, 15 minutes of play. And we only had 14 all of week 1. So already eclipsed that total. As we take over at the 26, we get 6 yards for Marvin Harrison, another 7 for Wicks. As all the receivers getting involved here, 1 yard for McCaffrey, now 2nd and 9, and that's knocked away. So a 3rd and 9 here at the 40, and we do not get the conversion. 7 yards for McDonald, now 4th and 2, probably punting, I would assume, as that is a 48-yard punt. And now not much breathing room for the Chicago Bears. Now it was actually Joshua Carty on the punt, as he coffin cornered them, I guess, and a rush there for Swift, as he's swallowed up there by Darius Robinson, former Pro Bowler, although he has suffered a little ratings hit, now down to a 79, despite being only 26, 27 years old. Now another try here, heavy line there for Chicago, 2nd and 11 at the 4, as Swift's trying to run behind a few blockers, and he's taken down in the backfield, they'll say, at the 1 yard line. Nate Scruggs in on the stop. I thought they were going to call safety, but I guess the ball did cross the plane there, as that's literally at like the inch mark. That is crazy. So 3rd and 15, Caleb Williams going to take this snap from deep in his own end zone. You can't allow the conversion here, and they're going to go conservative as Swift being chased, and that time they're not going to get the forward progress, as he's going to be swallowed up by Quay Walker, Van Ginkel giving chase, and again the defense generating points, or I guess we could say Joshua Carty, usually getting points as a field goal kicker, but this time on the punt, setting them back inside the 5, and our defense, a bunch of guys there just winning their assignments, winning their blocks. You see Quay Walker, Nate Scruggs over there, and this defense just a total different team than what we saw last week, as they are just dominating in all phases right now. And now on the safety punt, we'll see how far we can get this back. And we do have a decent return that time. That goes to the 35. Now 23-7, 3:20 remaining in this first half. It'd be something if we could add on even more heading into halftime. So after a 5-yard rush, then a 3-yard rush, it's 3rd and 2 at the 44. As we hit the 2-minute warning, we got a first down, then 6 yards for Anges. I'm not sure what that other play was. Maybe a penalty. And a 32-yard touchdown for Carlos Alvarez. So between both of those touchdown catches, they have gone for 100 yards combined. So he's got like a Randy Moss stat line right now. Unbelievable. Maybe we're just better off not watching the offense ever if they're going to be dropping 30 before we get to halftime. Or I guess, again, 9 of those points we could say were from the defense. But still, dynamic passing attack this week to Carlos Alvarez. Wicks is getting involved. And Marvin Harrison Jr. still has to be unleashed a little bit as Chicago now 122 to work with as they close this half. A short one that time. That's going to go for 4. As Gilmore, our rookie, as we use the injury timeout, holding his wrist as he trots into the tunnel. And hopefully that's not too serious, as he was starting to come on strong here in his real first game of action. Didn't really see him much last week. And Chicago wasn't even forced to burn a timeout there. We had to burn one via the injury. And now they're going to go no huddle here as we hit the minute mark in this first half of play. Near sideline that time, Williams hooks up with Kmet again as they do burn their first timeout now. 56 seconds from the 43, first down. Directly under center on the drop back. Williams, again near sideline, has a man, and that goes for a nice gain. I want to say 15 to Odunze now. 4 catches for 50 yards for Odunze. And they do stop the clock getting out of bounds. I mean, a field goal here isn't bad if you're Salt Lake City, but definitely don't want to give up the touchdown, let them get any momentum going into half as they set up the screen for Swift. That goes for 8. They burn their second timeout. So just one remaining with 46 seconds as they're now at the 34. Caleb Williams. As that's going to be knocked down for the incompletion. Matthew Torrance manning the slot position. As I said, we wanted Gilmore to get some reps at safety, so we moved Torrance into the slot for a little bit. And he jumps that one, knocks it down. Now a 3rd and short again for Chicago. As the pocket collapses and Van Ginkel filling in there for Joey Bosa, getting in on the sack, rocking the baby. And that's going to be a 58-yard field goal attempt if they want to try and come away with some points here. And they're just going to go for the punt. And they are going to have to get one off. Or no, I think they could have just taken that into the half, but they will punt it. As that will go for a touchback, and that will do it here in the first half of play from Soldier Field. Our Salt Lake City Snowhawks rocking a 30-7 lead, and I'm not sure why it didn't give us the whole halftime show and everything. It just cut, as we usually do like to look around the league and see what's going on, but I guess this week we're going to have to forego that, and we do get possession to start this half. I totally forgot about that, so 3-yard scramble there for McDonald, now 10 yards for Wicks. He's had a very effective game this week. 3 yards again on the ground for McDonald. Now 2nd and 7. Incomplete, so a 3rd and 7 here as we start the third quarter. And we convert there. 10 yards for McCaffrey. First down. We get another 7 on the ground for McDonald. He's going to have 100 yards rushing in this game. 2nd and 3. We got 16 for Harrison Jr. Are we going to score again? 4 yards for McCaffrey. 4 yards for Carlos Alvarez on the ground. Getting him involved, and we get 2 yards there on 3rd and 2 as we continue to move the chains and really eating up a chunk of this third quarter. A 1-yard pass there for McCaffrey, 2nd and 9. 10-yard penalty against the offense. Our stud left guard, Cade Moreland, now in his 2nd season. So backtrack to the 30-yard line. We get 7 back there to Wicks as it's now 3rd and 12 at the 23. A field goal here will certainly take that. 6 yards for McDonald, which sets up a 34-yard Joshua Carty field goal attempt, which is up, and it's blocked. As now Chicago, after the blocked field goal, take over at the 24. Some fresh life here, but you probably got to move quick, as that's not going to be very swift. Only 2 yards there as Darius Robinson on the stop. 281 total yards for Salt Lake City as we broke through here in week 2. Really have to carry that into next week in our division opener against the San Francisco 49ers. One of the teams we really have to supplant in this expansion franchise. There's another quick one that time. A minimal gain as that brings up 3rd and 7 from the 27. Less than 3 minutes left in this third quarter. As we said on that opening drive, just able to milk a lot of that clock. Going to set up the screen for Swift as he gets some blocks up the sideline, and he'll be forced out after 11. So finally on that completion, Caleb Williams eclipses 100 yards passing with just a couple minutes left here in the third, and he does complete that one to Adunze, another catch for him, but he's knocked down hard. I think Nate Scruggs in on that one. Our 3rd-year corner, I want to say, 2nd or 3rd-year corner out of Ole Miss, former 2nd-round pick, is now back to Swift, and he'll be taken down there off the edge by Xavier Thomas. He's also getting a little more playing time this week in the absence of Joey Bosa. And again, the theme here for Chicago, 3rd and 2, this time at their 45. And they will fake it for Swift. Williams rifles that one, and he misses a wide open Adunze. You can't do that wide open at the sideline to keep the drive going. And Adunze is just in disbelief, and they are going to punt off that. Down 23, man. You got to just go for it at this point. That is absolutely unacceptable. As a good, or not even a good punt, that one just for 29. And you see McDonald there, the stat line, 13 for 17, 203 passing with 2 touchdown passes, plus his impact on the ground. There's just a minute left here in the third quarter. Let's see how we finish this game. Another catch there for Wicks. He's had a huge day. McCaffrey gets 4 on the ground. Now 3rd and 2 to open the fourth quarter. As that's 7 yards for McCaffrey. He's been effective despite no, huge gains. He's been very, very solid. Now 2nd and 2. McDonald another 3 as we get 6 from McCaffrey. 2nd and 4. 8 yards there for Tip Ryman, a reserve tight end. His first catch of the season. Another 2 for McCaffrey, just milking the clock at this point. That time -3 though. And then Tank Bigsby, his first carry, we mentioned earlier, just not effective in week 1, but working him in here now in week 2. And now a 46-yard field goal attempt for Carty, and that one is good. So that now makes it a 4-possession game. I think we could pretty much say this one is done, but we still got to finish it out, and we still have a few, or at least one more drive to tune into for our defense. What a dominant performance on both sides of the ball. Honestly, I got very discouraged after that week 1 game. I put recording this episode off for a few days just because I needed to just let that digest a little bit, come back with a fresh perspective, as we just got absolutely humbled in that Week 1 game. I mean, still we were 4-13 last season, so how much did we even need to be humbled? But I thought we would come out and beat the Saints, the only team last season that was worse than we were, and we just couldn't get anything going. But just looking a lot better here in Week 2, as we look to carry that into a big game next week against the 49ers, kind of a statement game, as we try to rise up this tough NFC West division. And that time, 3 yards, 2nd and 7, as we hit the 5-minute mark in this first quarter with that accelerated clock now, pretty much already 30 seconds further, as Caleb Williams takes the snap again for Kmet, and that's going to go for a short gain. Sexton, a big hit that time, as he's had a strong performance now, just 4 minutes remaining. 3rd and 7 from the 47, Williams. And that's almost picked off in the hands of Jerry Sexton. And that one, just a poor concentration job, I guess you got to say on that one. Obviously not too used to those opportunities, but still got to come away with that one. Now 4th and 7 from the 47. Chicago, another chance here to keep this drive going. Williams, no one open. And so he's going to try and scramble this time. Haven't seen that much in this game. And he's going to be stopped short despite breaking in the first tackle. I think that was Pay originally. He is not able to keep that going. Usually when you see him break out and scramble like that, he can make the first down happen somehow, just a magician. But Chicago's offense just stagnant this week, as they're going to fall to 0-2. Our Snowhawks already a quarter of our wins from last season. We didn't have many, only 4, as we're now looking to finish this one out strong. Just a few runs, as we get 7 yards that time for McCaffrey. And I actually did go ahead and throw Derrick Henry in as our starter, so hopefully we see him a little bit more in -2 that time. So now a 3rd and 5. And a penalty on the offense, which makes it 3rd and 15 now. And that goes 18 yards for Dontavion Wicks, so we cannot be stopped as we do or past the 2-minute warning. So at the 38, we get 6 yards for Derrick Henry, 13 yards for Marvin Harrison Jr., as I think we will just run this one out. 9 yards for Henry, as that does do it here in Week 2. What a dominant performance from our Salt Lake City Snowhawks, 33-7 over the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears did win their division last year, if I'm not mistaken. I do have a spreadsheet, if you're interested, that keeps track of every season, every opponent, every stat, every draft pick, every signing, so that's always in the description of these videos if you're interested. I can't say enough about this team. So proud of our effort this week. Lucas McDonald just tore it up, got all of his weapons involved. Carlos Alvarez, 2 long touchdowns for our first-round pick out of Florida State. Andrew Van Ginkel there you see on the big sack. Our defense came to play. Jalen Thompson, a pick 6, and Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, getting them involved in the running game. And I just can't say enough about this team. Just dominant here over the Chicago Bears, but it's paramount that we carry this into the next week against the San Francisco 49ers. And we will just gloss over the stats real quick, as Lucas McDonald, 17 for 21, 246, two touchdowns, 80%, 11.7 yards per attempt. That is just great. That's video game numbers, we'll say, as McCaffrey. I thought he had a bigger total, 13 for 48, 1 touchdown, 52 on the ground for Lucas McDonald. Derrick Henry, 19 yards on 4 carries. Wicks, just a true possession receiver right there. 7 for 73. Super steady and consistent. Marvin Harrison Jr., 4 for 48. Carlos Alvarez, 2 for 100 for 2 touchdowns. That is the Randy Moss stat line right there, almost. McCaffrey, a couple catches. Blocking. Any sacks allowed? No sacks allowed. I think we had 5 allowed in Week 1, which is just a testament to actually watching our offense in the slow sims. We might be better off not, but of course next game here in Week 3 we're going to look at our offense. But 12 tackles for Sexton, unreal. 11 for Walker, a couple tackles for loss. Scruggs, Walker, Sexton, Van Ginkel, our lone sack. Of course, Jalen Thompson with that pick 6. So 33-7 here over Chicago, as we're set to take on the San Francisco 49ers. And with that, welcome to Levi's Stadium, our division opener here against the San Francisco 49ers. And it's been a struggle here, folks, against them. They've had our number. We're 1-5 against them so far. They won both matchups last year. I think the last 5 they have beat us, and I think our first matchup against them, we got the win. But we need a big one here. The San Francisco 49ers, an uncharacteristic 0-2 so far, as we could make a big statement in this game, and that's what we set off to do at the start of this episode. Need to make a statement. Last game was something, but even a win here by the slimmest of margins would pay big dividends, as we need to supplant the 49ers here, as they certainly have big brother status over us. Brock Purdy has emerged as one of the best quarterbacks in the game. looking to get off on the right foot in this one, as we do have the battle of the Bosa brothers. Of course, Joey Bosa is returning this week after missing last week's game, and Nick Bosa set as the top pass rusher here for San Francisco, as we are going to get a look at our offense now. And I'm very reluctant, as I mentioned, that it has been a struggle here when we have been in the slow sims of our offense. And we will not start with the ball, though. We are now at the opening kickoff. We are underway here from Levi Stadium. Had to get that out real quickly there, as we will watch this opening return, as the 49ers will take over at their 28-yard line. And as I said, Brock Purdy has emerged as one of the best quarterbacks in the game at this point in the franchise, here now in year 4 on Madden 25. 1 touchdown in those first 2 games, 450, 1 through the air. Need a little bit better action there as their opening carry for Kevin Neal, as a 3-headed backfield here. Kevin Neal, Keaton Mitchell, and former second-round pick Dylan Jackson out of Syracuse. And they start there. A 10-yard penalty against Christine Cameron, his second season first-round pick out of Florida State a year ago. And now 2nd and 18, incomplete. So right out of the gate, again, our defense trying to set the tone. A 3rd and very long for Brock Purdy and the offense. And that goes for just 2 to Deebo Samuel. So our offense is going to get the ball here quick, as our defense forces the 3 and out. But a great punt there by Sam Martin, all the way back to the 13-yard line. What a switch of field position that was. I thought we would at least have it at like the 30 or so. But Lucas McDonald, a great week last time out. 2 touchdowns there against the Bears. First time here through the air. We'll hook up with Carlos Alvarez. That one for 5. As Alvarez, we saw 2 catches for 100 yards and 2 scores last week, as he scored his first 2 touchdowns here in the NFL. First-round pick out of Florida State. And now 2nd and 5 from the 19. McDonald, a quick pass there for Marvin Harrison Jr., and that gets 4 to bring up a third and 1. And we do not want the 3 and out of the gate. We do come out in the I formation. Derrick Henry, our first time actually seeing him in a Snowhawks uniform, as we do go play action. Looks like it would have worked out well. McDonald going deep down the field, and that's going to be knocked down. I think Dontavion Wicks there, the intended receiver. Ward back there in coverage, and a missed opportunity that time. I thought Derrick Henry certainly could have got the first down there, but we went a little aggressive that time. Cardi is still the punter. I forgot to change that, but he did have some good punts last week. But San Francisco, look at this field position, at the 41. They got 7 yards for Purdy, -3 from Dylan Jackson. The running game has been a huge struggle for them, especially after losing McCaffrey here in his revenge game. And now a 3rd and 6 at the 45. And they do convert there. Brock Purdy to the fullback, Alec Ingold, as they're now in Salt Lake territory. Quay Walker knocks that one away incomplete. 2nd and 10, a knock away that time from Jaquan McMillan. More playing time in this game with Gilmore, the rookie, out 4 weeks. 3rd and 10, another incompletion. So 3 passes, 3 incompletions, as our offense going to get the ball back promptly here. And we'll take over now at the 20 after the touchback. See if McDonald can get better results this time out. McCaffrey, the lone back. And let's see if he can score in his former stadium against his former team. Off the play action, McDonald rolling left. And like we saw last episode, going to be snatched up that time by Bethune, a big loss of 8. And we need him to make better decisions in those situations. Tatum Bethune just kind of went right to him almost, although he did win off the edge there against Mark Andrews. Has to provide help there with the offensive line better, as we're backtracked. And now McDonald this time directly under center, as we go to the pitch this time for McCaffrey, and nothing doing as he's brought down for a loss. Dre Greenlaw that time on the stop, one of the 2 very good linebackers. Of course, Fred Warner, the best in the game on this San Fran team. McDonald now underneath on 3rd and a mile, as Marvin Harrison Jr. trying to fight ahead. He does get 9, but we are going to have to punt again, as each side trades punts here, or trades a pair of punts here, as we are over halfway through this first quarter of play. 64 yards that time for Cardi. I mean, we might as well just let him do dual responsibilities at this point. That time a boomer. Incomplete from Purdy. Now 2nd and 10. And they do get the first down, 12 yards for Samuel that time. 4-yard rush by Purdy, 2nd and 6. And they get another 12 that time for George Kittle. Still one of the top tight ends. 2nd and 6. They get another 12 yards for Ayuk. So now moving the ball with ease, it seems. 3 yards there on the ground for Jackson. Knocked away by McMillan. I think he's already had 3 pass deflections. And now a big 3rd and 7 here from the 29. As they do not get the conversion of 4th and 1. Let's see what they elect to do, as they do kick the field goal. So San Francisco gets on the board for the first time, as our offense back out there trying to get something going here, as we do trail just 7 yards mustered up to this point. First down at the 30. We are going to fake it for McCaffrey. McDonald scanning, and then we'll just throw that one away. McDonald took a hit that time, and as I've been harping on, I don't feel comfortable watching our offense. It seems like McDonald just does not perform well, as that time again just going to throw it away. And maybe it's not so much him as it is the defense we're playing against, or just the rest of the players on offense, as this time going to try and step up, and again brought down for the sack. And that's Bethune, another big play for him, 4th down. So now it's up to our defense to kind of keep us in this one. 5-yard rush for Dylan Jackson, 4 yards for Purdy, 3rd and 1. And we get the interception, Nathan Scruggs, his first of the season. We desperately needed that. Our offense couldn't get us into San Francisco territory, so our defense did. Just like the last game, they picked us up with a pick 6. Now at the I formation, go a pitch there for Henry, as he was kind of able to break first contact. But again, that's Bethune. Have yourself a day. Already 2 tackles for loss, a sack, and right back out there in the I formation. As we will go right back to the pitch this time, as Henry does have some space to work with, gets 5. Now 3rd and 8 at the 25. McCaffrey checks back in. Let's keep the chains moving. Bosa, good blocking there by Akanu off the edge. McDonald down into space, as he will fall forward or spin forward and get the forward progress for the first down. I was nervous there that he was not going to get it. He's kind of glitching out. What is going on? Hopefully he's okay. He did not look like he was in good shape right there. Maybe had a seizure or something. Now at the 16, we go on the sweep there for Alvarez. He gets 3. 2nd and 7 now from the 13. Let's get McCaffrey a touchdown here against his former team. And we will give it to him up the middle. McCaffrey works ahead, and he does get a good gain down to the 5. 1st and goal for the Snowhawks. McDonald going to throw it, and that goes astray. Target was Alvarez, trying to get him his 3rd in 2 weeks. And now back to the drawing board here on 2nd and goal. McCaffrey, the lone back. McDonald directly under center. Fakes it for McCaffrey. Going to try and run, and again brought down for the sack. That time Nick Bosa, as the 49ers already 3 sacks. And that's one of the big differences between the slow sim and the normal sim, is our offensive line just doesn't hold up well, and McDonald just really struggles to make good decisions. And this time just telegraphs that one, as that is incomplete. 4th and goal, so we will opt for the field goal, a 30-yarder here, which will knot it up. We had one blocked last game. Let's not let that happen this game, as Purdy just misses it entirely. What is going on? Maybe the dual responsibility isn't a recipe for success. As another interception. Oh my goodness, Max Melton gets it back for us. What is going on here? 2 interceptions on, I think, back-to-back passes from Purdy, and our offense has no excuse now. Come on. Here at the 11. Alvarez again in motion. We'll fake it that time. McCaffrey up the middle, and really nothing doing. 1 yard, as the 49ers defense just absolutely swarms him. Total yards 102 to 19, advantage San Fran, but only 3 points up on the scoreboard. Now 2nd down, McDonald near sideline there for Mark Andrews, and that's going to go for 2 yards. The Mark Andrews special. And we did switch up playbooks. We're now using Tennessee's playbook just to cater to our new offensive coordinator, Bill Callahan, but not seeing too much progress in the slow sim. Now McDonald is going to scramble on the 3rd and 7. 4th and inches now. We better go for this one, guys. 4th and inches at the 2, although I don't feel too confident in that. Really wish we were able to get that first down, as if we don't come up with points again here, but oh my goodness, this is super risky. 4th and inches at the 2 with those X factors, Bosa and Warner. I just do not feel comfortable right now. As we go for McCaffrey, and he doesn't get the end zone, but he does get the first down, so we'll have 4 chances here. And again, like we said, we need the McCaffrey touchdown, and I think now is the time. As we do go for him, and like old times, he finds the end zone here in San Francisco off back-to-back interceptions. Finally, we're able to get some points, but this time in the end zone. Christian McCaffrey, I think his 3rd touchdown now of the season. I think he scored the first touchdown for us in each game so far, as that puts our Snowhawks up, and hopefully the defense can hold. Gotta love the old 5-play, 10-yard touchdown drive, as our defense has been bailing us out. And that's a penalty against Max Melton. Wait, what just happened? It said penalty against Max Melton. Now it says interception Fred Warner. What is going on here? I don't know what just happened, but Ayuk, 14 yards down to the 41. Incomplete, so now 2nd and 10. And they get 11 there to Kittle. Those 10-yard, 11-yard gains have been working so well there in intermediate range for San Francisco. I think they just got another 11 there to George Kittle, 8 yards for Jackson. And Joey Bosa with the sack. So both Bosa brothers in this game recording a sack. You know, their family is sitting there with the dual jersey on, the split Snowhawks 49er jersey. We got to get one of those made up, as only 6-yard rush there from Purdy on third down. So 4th and 4 at the 43. What are they going to do? And they get a 43-yard touchdown pass to Keaton Mitchell. Oh, my goodness. What a change of the tide right there. Turn of the tide. I thought they were going to punt, maybe get a short 4th down conversion, but instead a 43-yard pass to Keaton Mitchell, former Snowhawk, which, just going through the 49ers roster, I didn't even remember, just looking at his stats, he had 1 carry for 3 yards for our Snowhawks last season, and now a dagger there towards the end of the half on 4th down nonetheless. Wow, that was unexpected, as now McDonald here at the 30 trying to lead a quick 2-minute drill. You can't even call it that, which is 25 seconds, as he tries to check that down, incomplete. 2nd and 10 now. Oh my, I cannot get over that touchdown. And I'm trying to I can't even set up a screen here. Like, I'm about to just dispute these live slow sims against the offense entirely. I don't know what else to do at this point. It's just such a different product than what we get in the normal sims. But as I said, it could be product of our opponent here, as we try and get McCaffrey involved again, and that goes for just 1. So McCaffrey 6 rushes for 11 yards, as San Fran is hyped right now, and I cannot blame them. And now the 49ers again, good field position at the 48, just 6 seconds left. Can we outlast these last 6 seconds? As it appears we can, and we are going to start here in the second half of play, and I believe we do have the ball. So trailing 10-7, our offense has maybe, like, okay, we see there 21 yards compared to San Francisco's 184. So hopefully you can see my frustration as we come out with a heavy line, and still that's not enough to get anyone blocked, as McCaffrey -1. Hufanga on the tackle for loss that time, looking like Troy Polamalu. And now back in the I formation, heavy I formation looks again, even with the change of playbook, as Derrick Henry nothing. Now 3rd and 12. I don't even think we can gain a yard at this point. McDonald there gets the screen for McCaffrey, and he's not going to get much there, just 3. So dramatic that time, just for a 3-yard gain. And Joshua Carty's 68-yard punt all the way down to the 1. What a nutty game this is. Get the safety, please. 3 yards for Dylan Jackson up to the 3-yard line. 4 yards for Jackson. Now 3rd and 3. Get the stop. And we do not, as Kittle for 6. Now 1st down. And pass knocked away by Scruggs. Also has an interception in this game. 17 yards for Pearsall. Do not tell me they're about to drive down 99. 6 yards for Ayuk. Incomplete. So with 3rd and 4 here at the 35. And they get 9 yards for Kittle for the 1st down. 2 yards for Jackson. 2nd and 8. They get 7 on the ground for Purdy. 3rd and 1. And they get 7 yards for Kevin Neal, mixing him in to the backfield. 1 yard for Jackson. A penalty against Scruggs. Going to assume that was pass interference. So it's now 1st down at the 18. A sack there from Darius Robinson. Our defense showing some life on this drive. 12 yards for Pearsall. So 3rd and short now for San Fran. And they do not get the 1st down, but 4th and 1 inside the 10. And they do get the touchdown. So both touchdowns of the day for San Fran have been on 4th down. And I don't like that at all, especially the first one. That just killed our steam, even though we really haven't had much. 22 yards on offense. Like, this must be the worst offensive performance of all time. It has to be. 1st down at the 30. McDonald. Near sideline, another short one for McCaffrey. Man, at this point, I just want to rip my hair out, and I don't have much to begin with, so that just shows Mark Andrews that time for 6. Maybe his longest reception so far on the season. And now 3rd and 4 at the 36. I mean, a touchdown here could change everything. Well, at least change the outlook of everything. But we need a 1st down before we get that far. And again, McDonald going to tuck it and run now as he slides up to the 48. And that's what we saw last game. He used his legs a lot, over 50 rushing yards. And I think that might have just been his 2nd scramble of the day. McCaffrey now off the fake to the receiver who is in motion, as that might just take us into the 4th quarter, as it does. So what a change, you know, what a bipolar team we have. Last game just slinging it all over the place. This game we just cannot even gain an inch Our defense has held it up very well for us with 2 or 3 interceptions. I'm not sure what happened there at that one point, but 17-7 nonetheless here as we enter the fourth quarter. And we need a huge spark, and a touchdown would certainly ignite that. Now in San Francisco territory to begin the fourth. McDonald time to throw, and that time at the feet of his intended target. And now 3rd and 7, and our team has such low morale. Like, everyone's morale is 40 or below for the most part. And, I mean, I can see why. And that's going to be intercepted by Fred Warner as he heard me talking, and he just took advantage of that. Fred Warner, interception for the 49ers, as they have certainly earned the right to celebrate. Just complete domination. Maybe the most dominant defensive performance you'll ever see. And McDonald just telegraphed that right to him. I mean, our offensive creativity has just been nil to begin this season despite the change of playbook. I've tried changing our offensive game plan, and still nothing doing. As the 0-2 49ers probably going to secure their first win of the season, as we will have even records with them unless we can mount a huge comeback here. What seems to be a huge comeback. I mean, it's only 10 points, but already at the 50 here. Then you get 16 there for Ayuk. 6 yards again for Ayuk. Now 2nd and 4. Incomplete. So another 3rd down here. And they get the conversion. 7 yards on the ground from Purdy. McMillan. Another pass knocked away from him. 3rd and 4 at the 15. And they get another 1st down there. Dylan Jackson on the ground. And a touchdown pass for Pearsall. So 3 touchdown passes for Brock Purdy. At least a pair of interceptions. That is now just 6:52 remaining. And at this point, just trying to muster up some dignity, as these stats are just awful. I mean, it can't get much worse. Mark Andrews, though, does get good game breaks to tackle and gets 13. And now McDonald, 1st down. Going to sling it there for Andrews. Finds him again as we do get into San Francisco territory. That one for 26. But now almost at the halfway point of this fourth quarter, a three possession game. Mark Andrews again that time for the 3rd straight pass attempt, which sets up a 2nd and 3 as we approach the 5-minute mark. McDonald out there empty. Harrison Jr. in motion. I don't even think he has a catch yet. McDonald has a man there. That's Andrews again. That time for 18, as we have the battle of the tight ends in this one between Andrews and George Kittle. But let's get Andrews a score now. 1st and goal at the 6-yard line. McDonald with it. Has Carlos Alvarez that time for 4, 2nd and goal. We got to be in the hurry up at this point. I mean, the game is dwindling quickly, as we're not really showing much urgency now out in the I formation. As we'll try to give it to McCaffrey. He's swallowed up promptly that time by Downs. Does a little dance. And now it's 3rd and 6. I'm sorry, 3rd and goal at the 6. McCaffrey the back. Darnell Washington, big tight end target, also on the field. McDonald tried to run. Was closed off, and that one does go for Darnell Washington. I think no gain, though, as we now have a 4th down. They've scored on 4th down twice. Can we match at least one? McDonald almost brought down. Going to run, and he breaks off the pile there and does score the touchdown. So some late life here from our Snowhawks. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I don't know if that dance is doing much for the credibility here of Lucas McDonald and what has been a very poor performance for not just him, but the offense as a whole. As now it's back to a 10-point deficit. Also had that missed field goal earlier on. And we recovered the onside kick. Oh, and I'm sorry, it's San Fran. I got so excited. It showed the picture of Cardi, and I thought it was saying we recovered it. My goodness. 4 yards there for Jackson. 3 yards for Jackson, 3rd and short, as we hit the 2-minute warning. And they get another 1st down. So that all but does it here in San Francisco. Our Snowhawks going to fall to 1-2 on the season as San Fran advances to 1-2. Well, they did just punt it, so I got to the outro a little early. But stick around. We are going to get our first glimpse at this 2028. I think we're now in 2028 NFL draft class, as we have to assign our regional scouting. So stick around for that if you're into that whole process. As like I said, we are going to preview this upcoming class. We do have 2 first-round picks, so that's exciting. And that's also exciting as McDonald slings it downfield. Dontavion Wicks along the sideline, and probably too little too late. That one for 30 yards, just 47 seconds left. And it's a shame it took so long to get something going here. Now at midfield from the logo. McDonald backtracking in the pocket again. Has Mark Andrews, breaks an arm tackle, gets ahead for 9. And no timeouts left, only 30 seconds remaining. It's going to take something heroic. As Wicks underneath, you got to get out of bounds, as he does not. But he does get down to the 26, a nice gain there as he has padding the stats here down the stretch. And we will fake it to McCaffrey. Just go for the end zone here as McDonald does avoid a man there. And then finally decides to run that time out of bounds for 3, as that does bring this game to an end. And as I was saying, our Snowhawks fall to 1-2 on this season, but still I think a good episode overall. This game was just, a tough division rival battle, and our offense just took too long to get going, but I think there was some encouraging spots there, especially in the second half. But our defense, what a performance by our defense though. Just dominated that first game we saw against Chicago. This game they had at least 2-3 interceptions and really held their own, but we just couldn't get the run support for them, unfortunately. But 1-2 now, our Salt Lake City Snowhawks. We will look at some stats real quick and then get to our regional draft focus. As I said, we do have to assign that. So look at these poor ratings by both quarterbacks in this game in a tough division matchup. Brock Purdy, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. McDonald, a pair of interceptions, just like his performance in week 1. So he now has 4 interceptions in 3 games. And look at McCaffrey, 9 attempts for 9 yards, just 1 touchdown. And I'm starting to think, is 11 minutes too little to get realistic stats? 35 rushing yards for McDonald to score, 7 catches, 80 yards for Mark Andrews, pretty much all of which were there down the stretch. 2 catches, 45 yards for Dontavion Wicks. 4 sacks surrendered, 1 by Andrews, Miller, Moreland, Ekwonu. So both of our tackles again give up a sack in these live look-ins or these slow simulations. Again, Sexton double-digit sacks, but none for a loss, no interception, which he needed in order to advance his development status. And it's also worth noting that Max Melton had 2 interceptions in that game in addition to the 1 by Nathan Scruggs. So we're going to take our first peek at this draft class for the 2028 NFL draft. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have 2 first-round picks, ours in addition to Buffalo. And they did start 2-0. I'm not sure how they fared here in week 3, but they were playing the Jets, so they probably did win. But we're going to take a look here region by region as we assign our focus scouting for each region. So we're going to start here in the West, smoke some nice cess in the West. And we'll just go all positions. So Adrian Kincaid, the top prospect here in the West region, 21-year-old quarterback out of Colorado, improviser. And we're not really in the market for a quarterback. He had A there for play action. We're not really in the market for a quarterback, although that is something we might reconsider if McDonald doesn't really pick it up here down the stretch, or over the course of this year 4 season, I should say. We got Philip Barlow, and then it kind of slims out only a handful, not even really, of first-round ranked guys here in the West, although round 1 and 2 does go down the board a little bit. Now at this point, we'll go position by position, and we really just need to focus on offensive line, particularly an offensive tackle would be great if we can get one in this class. Just like sifting through earlier, it seemed like it was a pretty strong offensive tackle class, not so much here in the West, just one gradable prospect, and he does come in as a first-round grade. Jalen Boley, 6'6", 336 out of USC, A for awareness, so that's a very good first impression on him. But of course, just being that there's one draftable tackle in this region, we're not going to set our focus scouting on offensive tackle. Also have the USC right tackle over here, and the USC left guard, Max McAdams, a projected round 3 to 4 guy, F for run block. But USC must have had a nice offensive line there at the college level this past season. Coming back over here to running back, only 4 projected drafted guys, including Jalen Meredith here. He was the first prospect to have a draft story on him, and I forget exactly what it said, but I think it did allude to his elusive ability as a runner, although his physical ratings there on the left don't look all that great. Skills just B for carrying so far. So obviously very early on in the process, but anyone who gets a draft story on them in the news section, I always make a note of them. So running back, not going to go for that. Necessarily don't even need one, but depending on how our roster is looking come draft day 2028, if we have the luxury there with 2 first-round picks, maybe we can take the top guy in the class there towards the end of the first round. So nothing really here offensively in the West. A pretty weak region overall. Defensive ends, just 3 guys here, only 2 of them day 1 guys, day 1 or day 2 guys. Josh Boyce, a D tackle in our scheme. And aside from the want of acquiring a stud offensive tackle in next year's offseason, we also have to address the defensive line and really recoup and add some youth to that area. So Josh Boyce may be someone we can go for, elite to great there for strength, but F for injury. And after him, just no one else really. Randy Fisher there, another D tackle in our scheme. Tyrone Springs, as I said, D tackle, another spot along with D end that we're looking at, even outside linebacker, because some of those guys can translate over to D end. And I mean, Springs here looks very strong there physically with elite to great for acceleration, agility, and speed. So looks to be a very athletic D tackle here with B play rec. So another guy with a very good first impression, a speed rusher out of Oregon State at 6'4", 285. Only one outside linebacker, one middle linebacker, and two outside linebackers there on the right side. Only one draftable corner at free safety. A couple round 1 to 2 guys here. Jason Stewart out of UW. And it does say we are a top fit for him. C for man coverage so far. 21 years old. Only 5'9", though. 198 zone archetype. And doesn't look to be anything all that special as an athlete. But even though we do have two safeties we like in Gilmore, who we saw earlier, and also Matthew Torrance. Torrance may be able to translate at corner, but even if not, maybe one of the safeties in this upcoming draft can pose as a corner instead of a safety. So Jalen Bartow here, 6'3", 220. Probably not him, though, as a run support safety. Not going to probably perform well at the combine. Has B for awareness. Probably not that high of a draft pick, depending on how he tests. And Trevor McKee here, 5'9", 216 hybrid. And maybe he's a guy we can draft who can translate over as a slot guy, although, again, the physical ratings don't look all that great for a first-round defensive back. So quick run through here through the West. Very, very weak region. Very slim. I was originally leaning going corner here as our region, safety as our region focus, just because they really have the most draftable guys here. Trevor McKee. Also, there are round 2 to 3 guys here. Pat Burgess out of Washington State. Zone archetype, but he does have B for hit power. Athletically, though, not projecting all that great. And then also Brian Coles here out of Air Force. Run support safety, and not going to really test all that well. So at a crossroads here, I don't even want to assign. I wish we could just bring our West Scout over to the Southeast or the Northeast or something, as those are much stronger regions, very, very deep on that side of the country this year. So nothing offensively. Defensive end, there's just really Josh Boyce, Randy Fisher. I wish it combined D ends and D tackle, but that's a bit of wishful thinking. Again, really nothing there at linebacker. So I think by default, you just got to go safety here, just because they have the most draftable guys. I mean, it wouldn't even hurt if we added a depth guy in like the 3rd round or later. Hopefully one of these guys can translate over to the slot. My guess would be it's Trevor McKee as a hybrid guy, but also there was a guy over here at free safety, Jason Stewart. So like I said, I'm not crazy about this region, not even the safety position in particular in that region, but that is just what we're going to target. We also have our scout there, Lynn Glover. Their expertise is D end and D tackle, so we will get some good scouting on those positions regardless. So in the West here, let's go safety, and let's just double check D line. Yeah, it's not included, so safety here in the West. And now coming over here to the Central, we'll take a look at the overall board. And again, 2 quarterbacks up high here. Glenn Shelton, quarterback out of Nebraska, field general, 6', 225. Just C for deep accuracy. Throw power says great to elite. And again, really not in the market for a quarterback. And another one here, the top 2 in the region are quarterbacks. Deshaun Montague here out of Texas A&M, a scrambler. Another young guy here at 21 years old, elite to great for jumping, speed, and acceleration. So we'll see how those accuracy ratings come back. A few more round 1 guys here, and then more in the rounds 1, 2, 2 to 3 range. So we'll just go position by position like we did before. Skip over quarterback. Only 2 draftable running backs here, both on day 3. Receiver looks very deep as well, but not really a position of need. Ladarius James here. That just sounds like a football name. 6', 210 playmaker, 21 years old. Physically, not all that imposing as a first-round guy. Moving down to tight end. Not really a need for us. Offensive line, nothing there at tackle. A couple day 3 guys at guard. Nothing at center, nothing at guard. And then around 2 to 3 guy here for tackle, Mark Wilbur out of Wisconsin. Pass protector, and he does get B for run block. So being that pass protector archetype and still getting a high grade there for a run blocker is pretty good. And then we get here defensively, really what we're trying to address in this year's draft. Defensive line, they have a few first-round guys here. At left end, Ben Foster out of Kansas State, 6'3", 266 speed rusher. Looks to be a pretty good athlete. D for hit power is all we got so far. Round 2 to 3 guy here, Deshaun Sims out of Wisconsin, B for power move. Athletically, looks pretty average. And then a couple round 1 guys here, D tackle. So maybe where we target, but still not the quantity you want, just would really be for Joe McGee here out of Wisconsin, 6'1", 307. Looks to be a pretty good athlete. And then also Mitchell Walker here out of LSU. Power rusher with a C finesse move and great to elite there for speed. So 2 decent looking defensive tackle prospects. But again, if we set our focus scouting for D tackle, it's really only to cater to 2 prospects, which isn't very efficient. It's linebackers, a few more guys here, but just later round guys. And we want to target our scouting for obviously our early picks where there's more at stake there. Jonathan Street, pass rusher out of Texas Tech, one of the top prospects in the region. C for Blockshed to start, and looks to be a very good athlete. Maybe someone we can target. Ranked 14th on the overall board, so it might be in our range. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out, but I am expecting us to be a middle of the pack type of squad. And in addition to strengthening our defensive line, we really need to add a stud corner, whether in free agency or this year's class. But a very, very poor cornerback class. Daniel Weary is the top guy on the board. And what was he ranked? He's not ranked until 39. So the top corner in this class isn't even projected until early second round. B for press so far. And overall, not that great of an athlete for an early round defensive back, but doable in a poor class. Also, Alante Sample out of Oklahoma. C for press so far. Man-to-man type of guy. And the physicals looked very bad on him at quick glance. Jonathan Clancy out of Texas Tech. Gotta love that length there at 6'3". C for catching. Athletically, though, nothing crazy. So nothing here for safety. We already have our focus scouting in the West as safety, so we're not going to double up on that. Not necessarily an area of need. And there was nothing offensively, really, besides wide receiver, but we're not going to do that. Not a glaring need. So I think corner is the way to go, even though none of these round 1 to 4 guys seemed anything all that promising. Maybe one of them proves us wrong, or maybe one of these day 3 guys proves to be a diamond in the rough, which we desperately need at the cornerback position. But very bizarre that it turned out to be a very weak cornerback class. That's definitely one of our biggest needs going into next offseason. So halfway through now, moving over to the Northeast, where it starts to get a little more difficult. The east side of the country really just hoarding most of the talent here. In the Northeast, we see Randy Lawson, 6'5", 258 out of Michigan, power rusher, and he seems to be someone we would definitely like to draft. A for awareness already, as he's ranked 8th on the board. Then we get Josh Cooper here out of Ohio State, another pass rusher here, 6'2", 250, 21 years old, and looks to be a better athlete, although I have A for injury, but he does look to be a better athlete than Lawson. And then 2 tackles up here, which we like to see. George Jackson out of Michigan, 6'4", 308, agile, which does fit our archetype, and great to elite in the top 4 categories there. Good to great in speed, and a C for pass block power, and that's for an agile lineman, so you do like to see that. So George Jackson looks to be very, very promising, someone we would like to target. We haven't really seen many stud offensive tackles in any of these draft classes so far, and right behind him is Will Hall out of Boston College, and again another good, very good athlete at offensive tackle. Not as good as George Jackson, but still a very good prospect in his own right. So off the bat, I mean, 4 guys here who might be in play at our pick, and then even Eric Oliver here, 6'4", 259 out of Temple. Go Owls, my brother's alma mater, as he looks to be a very good athlete as well. So here in the Northeast, I wish we could just assign more than one scout over here and not waste time elsewhere. Now just go position by position. Quarterback is actually a weakness, whereas in the other regions it seemed to be a strength. Marquise Keenan, the top guy here out of Notre Dame, as he was the successor to Tyson Wakefield, who went 2nd overall in last year's class. A little bit stronger here at running back. Keontae Lowry was one of 2 prospects who had draft stories on him. Lowry out of Kent State. The draft story on him was that he had just massive quads, very strong guy, so fits the billing there as a power back, but they tend not to be all that great of athletes. Moving over to wide receiver, Max Rutherford along with Landon Baptiste, the only 2 receivers here with potential round 1 projection. Quincy Richards, he might be the top tight end in the class out of Penn State, 6'5", 251 vertical threat, could be a nice piece for an offense. We already saw Will Hall, another draftable left tackle there. Nothing really there on the interior. Now at right tackle, we also have Mike Holloman out of Notre Dame, pass protector, and he does get that A for pass block, which you would expect or hope for at least be there at B, but he even exceeds that expectation. We also have Brady Knox out of Ohio State, 21-year-old pass protector, decent athlete. So tackle class over here in the Northeast, very strong with 2 top 15 potential prospects. Also another 2 guys over here on the right side. Now moving to defense though, nothing at left end. Right end, I mean, we already saw those 2 guys, but only 2 high projected guys, not worth assigning that position to it. Again, at D tackle, really nothing worth it. Outside linebacker, nothing. Middle linebacker, again, just round 3 to 4 or later type guys. We already saw Randy Lawson. So really nothing there at linebacker either. And now we get to corner, and the quantity is just off the charts. We have, 6 here that are projected round 2 to 3, one round 3 to 4 type guy, with a handful of day 3 guys as well. So I said we wanted to go quantity with these focus scoutings per region, and I think corner definitely trumped every other position. Hopefully one of these guys serves to be a diamond in the rough. We could certainly use that. Safety, even safety looks good here at free safety. Strong safety as well. Chris Freeman, Ohio State. We need some hybrid guys. The hybrid safeties tend to be the best ones to use in the slot. And we get one here in Deion Allen. Pretty good athlete, A for awareness so far. Then there's Emmett Brown out of Michigan. A zone guy. Of course, a zone safety would be better off than a box safety in most cases. Danielle McIntyre, another zone guy. So maybe Deion Allen, someone we can target. But again, we're just going to go focus scouting here at the cornerback position. Otherwise, probably offensive tackle. But our scout here in the Northeast already is specialized as an offensive tackle scout. So we will get a boost there. So again, I think like we did in the Central, we'll just set it for corner as we're really mining for gold there in this year's cornerback class. Now looking at the Southeast, they make up 6 of the top 10 prospects in this year's class, and 2 of these guys in the top 5 as offensive tackles. So a very, very top-heavy offensive tackle class, a lot of studs, hopefully, as that's what it appears to be, really catering to our need in that position. A.J. Hawkins, this year's top prospect, C for impact and run block finesse so far, a pass protector, 6'5", 311 out of Alabama. We'll see if he plays up to that level throughout the season. The top quarterback in the class, Ben Rivers out of Florida State, 6'6", 227, just 21 years old. And he is unlike most quarterbacks we've seen so far at the top of the board. Mostly we see improvisers, scramblers, even field generals, but I feel like we don't see many of these tall, just strong arm type of guys. So I wonder who's going to emerge as the top quarterback need team in this year's franchise. Levi Falk, another very good offensive tackle here out of Auburn. Agile, which does fit our archetype. And another very good athlete here. Great to elite for acceleration, agility, speed. So far skills, we get A for run block finesse, C for run block power. And again, for these agile guys, when they can hold up in power situations, I feel like that just adds so much value to their playing style. And then DJ Carter, a D end here out of Clemson, 6'2", 265. Does have that D for block shed, which you don't want to see at this phase of the draft. Right behind him at 7, we get Kentrell Sanborn out of Miami. And it also seems to be a very pass rusher rich draft as well. Sanborn here, B for play rec so far. So we could be in line to hopefully add a stud tackle and maybe even a D end in the first round with 2 first-round picks. Of course, the opportunity to trade up is always there with that flexibility we're afforded. Colt McCormick, speed rusher out of Auburn. Just another pass rusher in what seems to be a very deep class. A for finesse move. And then we get another tackle right behind him here at 15, Jacoby Bowden. Another guy here out of Auburn as the Tigers. Another team here that just seemed to have a bunch of prospects along with USC earlier. A for run block finesse, B lead block. So as I've said, it looks like we're definitely in position to add a tackle, which is very hard to do in franchise mode here in Madden. I feel like to find an elite level offensive tackle via the draft, as when I go position by position, nothing really there in quarterback, running back, but receiver, they have a ton of guys here, but again, not a position of need. So we'll bypass that for now. Tight end, a few around 2 to 3 guys. And offensive tackle, we said Falk, Bowden, also Aaron Jones here, another guy out of Auburn. As he's 6'5", 334, power archetype, so not really our scheme, but still, if he grades out well, we'll pick a player no matter their scheme if they're good value. A couple centers there, right tackle, have A.J. Hawkins. So as far as tackle goes, maybe 3 to 4 guys we would be in on, but I'm pretty sure our Southeast scout is an offensive tackle expert. We also have A.J. Harbor here in addition to DJ Carter at left end, but Harbor more of a D tackle in our scheme at over 300 pounds. We already talked about Sanborn. So 2 first-round D ends here at D tackle. Pretty deep, but not really anyone at the top. Outside linebacker, there's also J.J. Townsend here out of Tennessee. All these outside linebackers look like pass rushers. None of them really look like traditional off-ball type guys. So if we want to go that route, probably going to have to look at middle linebackers, which does seem to be a poor class. Taylor Goddard, another pass rusher here as an outside linebacker, another guy out of Tennessee. As we get to corner, and again, we might as well at this point just go right back to the cornerback position, as they have round 2 to 3 projected guys, a few here for round 3 to 4, a few day 3 guys. Safety, they have a few good guys, one with a round 1 projection. So if not corner, Probably not outside linebacker. Only 3 guys there in the top of the draft. D end again, probably not, as it would only really be for 2 prospects, really. Offensive tackle, I am tempted to go, but we already have the Southeast offensive tackle class at 25% scouted. So I think that's our top caliber scout, and that must be one of their areas of expertise. So we don't have to worry about scouting offensive tackle in this region, which I think makes it easier to go corner. And we're really buying into that position. As I said, really hoping to find a diamond in the rough, a gem in this year's class at the cornerback position. So with that, this is where I'm going to leave you folks. Thank you so much for watching. It was a mixed bag in this episode. A dominant win there in week 2 to get our first win of the season over the Chicago Bears, but it was followed up by a bitter loss against a division rival, San Francisco 49ers, in our division opener of this year for season. Next time out, we have the Detroit Lions on Monday Night Football. I am going to get a sim-heavy episode in following that, as I was planning on that for next episode, but being that we're on Monday Night Football, I wanted to encapsulate that atmosphere, and hopefully we can have a good performance, more of what we saw against Chicago and less of what we saw against San Francisco. But I am going to put the quarter length up a minute to 12 minutes, and maybe that'll give us a better overall game length with more realistic stats and a just better experience overall. So as always, everybody, it's been real, and be well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.